Well, hi everyone, and welcome to the Infinity Futures Daily Trading video. My name is Raleigh White, and I'm here to talk to you about the trades we took in our live trading room on Tuesday, November 4th, 2014. Well, looking at today's economic calendar, you can see there were a few things on tap that we needed to be aware of today. At 7:30, we had trade balance data being released, which came in lower at a negative 43.0 billion versus an estimated trade deficit of 40.0 billion. Then at 9 o'clock, we had the release of factory order data, which also came in lower, down 0.6 of a percentage point versus a forecasted decrease of 0.4 of a percentage point. Also want to point out that throughout the day we had the U.S. congressional elections and news flow from those events, but nothing really impacted us during the trading session. As far as today's pre-market sentiment was concerned, things were fairly negative coming into the open. Now, the Asian markets had closed mixed on global PMI reports, so yesterday's upbeat U.S. factory activity report was offset by PMI slowdowns in China and the Eurozone. We did see that the best performing market in Asia was the Japanese Nikkei. It closed up 2.7% at 7-year highs on a weak yen and on the rebalancing of the government pension fund, which will emphasize investment now in the Japanese stock market. On the flip side, though, the worst performing market was the Korean Kospi market. It was down 0.9 of a point on a slip in the shares of Hyundai and Kia Motors after the United States fined them collectively $100 million for overstating fuel economy on vehicles exported to the United States. As far as the European markets are concerned, they were open but trending lower on regional growth concerns. Now, sentiment in Europe had soured after the European Commission cut its Eurozone economic growth outlook. We also saw that major oil companies like BP, Shell, and Total were leading the energy sector lower on falling oil prices after the Saudis announced that they would cut the prices of crude oil being sold to the United States. We also note that the rift between the European Union and United Kingdom continues to heat up, as the European Union has said it will fine the UK £42 million if it doesn't pay the £1.7 billion that's due as part of its participation in the European Union by December 1st. As far as the United States is concerned, Wall Street did figure up to open up lower on falling oil prices. Now, the futures index markets were down coming into the open, following the global markets lower as general energy prices were dropping. Analysts were very keen on watching what was going on with ExxonMobil and Chevron, as they figured that those shares were going to follow the energy sector lower. The focus for many U.S. investors today would be on U.S. factory orders scheduled for release at 9 o'clock and on key monthly labor reports that are due out on Wednesday and Friday of this week. Now, as far as my trading activity is concerned, was fairly busy, attempted 8 entries in the market, but was only filled on one of those entries in the E-mini S&P 500. But before we look at that trade in any detail, I do need to remind everyone of this following important disclaimer. And that is that trading futures involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. You should carefully consider whether trading is suitable for you in light of your circumstances, knowledge, and financial resources, as you may lose all or more of your initial investment. And always remember that past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Well, turning to the charts, let's begin here with the E-mini Dow market. And you can see here right at the open of the trading session, we had 2 bars moving higher, followed by 1 bar retracing. And I was hoping this second bar was going to retrace and give me a 2-bar pullback entry long at 17,252. But you can see the market never really came in my direction, moved away, and I had to take that trade out of the market. I next took a look at the Euro FX futures market, and you can see there were a couple of opportunities here. Once again, right at the open of the trading session, you see we had 2 bars moving lower, 1 bar retracing, and I was hoping this second bar was going to retrace and give me a 2-bar pullback entry short at 125.26, but the market never even attempted to come up here towards the upper Bollinger Band, and I had to take that order out of the market. Now, staying with the Euro FX futures, we can see that we have 2 bars moving higher, 1 bar retracing, and I was hoping the second bar was going to retrace and give me a fill off the lower Bollinger Band at 125.10, but it never came to me, moved away from me, and I had to take that trade off. That brings me to the E-mini S&P 500 market, where we saw several opportunities to trade today. First of all, right here at the open of the trading session, we had 2 bars moving higher, followed by 1 bar retracing, and I was hoping this second bar was going to retrace here to the lower Bollinger Band and give me a long entry at 2005. It didn't do that, so I had to pull that trade off. Then you can see we had 2 bars moving lower, followed by 1 bar retracing and a second bar retracing, and I was looking here at a short entry at 2010, and you can see here the market came right up to my entry, kind of kissed me a couple times but did not fill me, moved through my profit target, and I had to take this trade off. The same thing happened at the next entry. We had 2 bars moving higher, followed by 1 bar retracing. This doji bar, I don't count this. The second bar retraced, and I was sitting here with a long entry at 2005 and a quarter. Once again here was my entry was kissed a couple of times. I was not filled. The market moved through what would have been my profit target, and I had to take this trade off. So with 2 bars moving lower, 1 bar retracing, second bar retracing, I did have a short entry here at 2009, and I did get a fill. Now on this trade, the market initially won a couple of ticks against me and then moved 3 ticks in my direction. When it moved 3 ticks in my direction, my stop loss automatically came to break even. Then the market backed off, knocked me out at break even before going to what would have been full profit. Nonetheless, this was a scratch trade for me. And staying with the E-mini S&P, you can see towards the end of the session we had all these bars, red bars with red balls indicating this market was trending to the short side. I was looking for a short entry just below the support 2 pivot point, and for the third time this morning in the E-mini S&P, we came up here. My entry was kissed. I was never filled. The market moved through what would have been my profit target, and I had to take that trade off. So during today's trading session, I was involved in 8 attempts. I had 1 fill. It was a scratch trade, and my plan was to come back after lunch and see if there might be some opportunities to trade with a keen focus on the crude oil market. So looking at the crude oil market, this is my point and figure chart. You can see here this area here in gray is the period of time from 12:30 to 1:30 Central Time. Well, as I came and was getting ready to trade, I noticed that there was a column of O's coming down and X's retracing and then O's falling away. This created for me what I felt was a minor area of resistance. So when prices came back up into this area, I was sitting here with a short order at 76.68, and I was only looking for a 5 tick. This was just a quick scalp on this market, and I had a 10 tick stop loss. Well, I got my fill right away. The market moved 1 tick against me and then quickly 5 ticks in my direction, so I was able to pick up 5 ticks or $50 per contract traded. Now, staying with the crude oil market all the way towards the end of this period of time, this is 1:30 here where the crude oil pits close. You can see that we had a column of X's going up higher, so I had established resistance here at 77.10, and we also came down here off this big column of O's going down, then this retracement. This established an area of support for me. So what I decided to do at this point in time is when I saw the prices coming down in this area, I decided to have a long entry here at 76.80. And once again, by the way, this right here was at 9 minutes after 1. This was not the end of the trading session. This was about 9-10 minutes after 1. But I saw this opportunity here to go long. I got my fill at 76.80, not being greedy, just looking for a 5 tick move on this trade, and I was able to pick that up. Now, in hindsight, had I had a 10 tick profit target, that certainly would have worked out because the market really bounced off this level. But the net effect here was I had 2 entries and 2 fills in crude oil, was able to pick up 10 ticks or $100 per contract traded, which is exactly what my goal is for the day, and that's where I ended up. So, long story short, had 10 attempts in the market, 3 fills, 1 scratch trade, and 2 winning trades in crude oil, and I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of opportunities might present themselves tomorrow. Well, looking at tomorrow's economic calendar, you can see that we have a very busy schedule. Things get kicked off at 7:15 in the morning with the release of the ADP non-farm employment change data. This would be private sector job creation in the United States. Then at 8:15, we have FOMC member Kocherlakota speaking. At 8:30, we have FOMC member Lacker speaking. Then at 8:45, we have the final services PMI data being released. At 9 o'clock, we have the official ISM non-manufacturing PMI report coming out. At 9 o'clock, we also have FOMC member Rosengren speaking, and then at 9:30, we have the release of crude oil inventory. So we definitely have enough activity going on prior to and then after the open of the U.S. trading session to give us some good movement in volatility that hopefully will give us some nice trading opportunities. And with that, I'd like to thank you all for watching today's daily video. I wish you a pleasant evening, and I look forward to speaking to you tomorrow. Take care and good night.